Hey everybody, Lady Liberty Stacker. It is Tuesday, July 30th, 2019, and I'm back from a few days away with my hubby to celebrate a wedding anniversary. And we happened to be passing through Erie PA on our way back, and we spent the night there. And usually, we usually like to golf on our vacations, and we like to go to the local casinos. But this particular casino we've been to before, it's either mobbed by too many people and you can't find a place to park, or if you can get in, it's just hard to win because the casino seems to be rather tight. So we went there just for a brief time when we were there, but the rest of the time, believe it or not, hubby actually agreed to go sourcing with me and look for cast iron. So I had him looking at all the various places when you go to antique shops and things of that nature. And we wanted to basically do this in Erie because that is where they made Griswolds, which are the creme de la creme, or at least everybody, collectors love Griswold. And they made them in the late 1800s up through probably the early 1960s in Erie PA. And you would think there'd be a lot of them there, but which is true, we went to a number of antique shops and malls, and a couple of vendors probably had 30 or 40 of them, and I would have filmed, but there were too many people in the shop, and I did not record that, but there was a ton of pieces in one location, and they were way overpriced. Even my husband, he walked up to it and said, "Oh boy, this stuff is expensive," because he knows what I usually pay for this stuff. Now, granted, if you get it at a flea market and it's covered with rust, or a garage sale or something like that, it's going to be covered with rust and crud and old baked on carbon warts and that sort of thing. You really don't know the structure and what you're going to get. In my 2 or 3 videos ago, I picked up an old BS&R and it had a crack on the sidewall because it was covered and I couldn't see it. You will pay a little bit more in an antique mall, but at least you know the structure of the pan. You know if it sits flat. You know if there's any cracks or not. You know if there's any pitting or not, because they're usually not that bad. So anyway, let me show you what I got. And did I get any Griswold? Watch and find out. The first piece actually looks like a Griswold from, looking at it from this side. You can see the well-developed pour spouts here, and a number 8 on the top, and the handle, which looks a lot like Griswold, or at least it does to me. Maybe some of you guys are more familiar with Griswold. I run into pieces occasionally. It's fairly clean, but it's got some old carbonized seasoning there that, maybe the person didn't season it the way I would have. But anyway, you want to flip it over. And this is at a vendor on, one of the day we were leaving. They had a bunch of Griswold, and they were very, very pricey. Even this skillet here, which I got at a different antique mall, was very pricey as well. But here, I actually was able to pick this up for, it's a number 8 with the heat ring, which I'll show you in a minute, for 35 bucks. So as you can see, it sits flat. We'll go ahead and turn it over. On the bottom, there is a heat ring, and that means they were, made. This one, from my research, was made in around the 1920s. It has the sidewalls kind of like the Wagner, and the handle looks more like a Griswold, but it's a little bit more definitive than a Griswold. So this handle, and then a number at a vertical on the back with the dash next to it, identifies this as a Vollrath. Never run into a Vollrath before, not that I can remember anyway. And these were made in Wisconsin, so it made it all the way over to Erie, PA. But you can see how the seasoning and when this person seasoned it, they probably didn't wipe off the excess, and that's what it looks like. Kind of like it pools in areas, and that's what it looks like. But you could probably clean this and cook off of it. But I'm going to throw it into a lye bath and then a vinegar soak, and then I'll season it. But yeah, Vollrath was made in Wisconsin, and it's a very nice skillet, and probably will end up selling this because I don't really use the ones with the heat ring on my glass stovetop. So anyway, that's Vollrath. So we'll go ahead and put that over here. And then one of our first finds, and this is my second favorite, This is at another shop where the person had a ton of Griswold. So believe it or not, in the same room, but at the far end of the room, hanging up on the wall, I saw this skillet. And it was hard to see what it was from that distance, so I went over to inspect. It's also a number 8. And you have the pour spouts, not as defined as a Griswold, but pretty well defined. Nice skillet, has some rust in it, and some utensil marks at the bottom, but it doesn't look like there's any pitting. It also sits flat, does not spin. And we'll flip it over, and lo and behold, this piece is a Wagner ware, Sydney, Ohio. Just has some rust and old seasoning that needs to come off. It's a 1058.0, and you can see the flattened part of the handle that meets the sidewall here, which is characteristic of Wagner. And this one was a steal. It was only $22 for a number 8. I've really not run into a number 8 Wagner in my area. And this actually made it all the way over to Erie, PA. And apparently the person wasn't aware that, she probably could have gotten a little bit more for this. I'm thinking if I'd found it in my area, it probably would be, $30 to $40 maybe. It's hard to say. But, Wagner isn't quite as valuable as Griswold, but in my opinion, it's every bit as good. They're equal to, if not better than Griswold as far as cooking is concerned. So that one needs just to be soaked in a lye bath to remove the old seasoning, and you got some old stubborn seasoning on there. And then I'll put it into a vinegar soak, and then if there's still some stubborn seasoning on, we'll easy off oven spray will go on there, because that'll take the rest of it off without having to use the oven self-clean. I don't really do that anymore. I just think that your extra wear and tear in your oven is not necessary. So we'll put that over there. 2 number 8s, very good shape. But the find of the day was at a consignment shop, and the guy that had this shop that sold me this for $22 said, go down the street, you're going to see a consignment shop. She may have something. Well, lo and behold, found a waffle iron. And this waffle iron was made probably in the early 1900s, not a Griswold. But honestly, on eBay, they're a dime a dozen. They're all over the place. And these are actually worth quite a bit of money. There's not as many of these on eBay, especially in this condition. What we have here, I'm going to move these pans over here so I can actually show you. This is a waffle iron with a bail handle. You actually use the handle to flip the paddles. It's got wood handles. There's a little gouge out of that one. A lot of these don't even have the wood handles anymore, but I imagine what you could do is you could have, remove these. I'm not sure how you remove them, but I'm sure there's a way. And you could get a dowel rod type of thing, and you could probably purchase some modern handles and put them in there. But the handles were for flipping it, but you look inside, it's really actually quite clean. It wasn't probably used all that much, it just rusted more or less. So I'm not really, I'm going to give it a vinegar soak, really. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to throw it into my lye bath, because you don't want to do anything with these wooden handles. And it has a base to it, so I'm going to go ahead and put this down. The camera down so you can have a better view of, okay, there we go. You can see it basically like that, and how these are. So if you want to turn it, you just lift them up like that when you have it on the stove top. And the Griswold has a handle on it. You would just pick up the handle, but honestly, this is a lot easier for me. And you just turn it like that, and both sides look to be about the same. And this base, I'll take this out, or actually I'll move it up. Okay, let me go back and show you the base. That's called a low base, and you do need to pick it up to turn the paddles, but there's not that much. There's just some rust on it, but it's in actually really good condition. It's an antique. It's probably made in the early 1900s. From everything I've been able to find out. But at any rate, I've been wanting one of these for a long time. I've been looking on eBay. There's a ton of Griswolds on there, and all the prices are really high. And, you know, even if you get a good price, they have to ship it to you. So it's much better to get it in the wild. So I did end up paying, got it for 59 bucks. $59. I was very happy with that. So anyway, guys, this is what I was able to find in Erie PA. No, I didn't get any Griswold, but actually this one here is probably a little bit more valuable than the Griswolds that I did see on eBay. And then we have the Wagner, and then we have the Unmarked Vollrath that were made in Wisconsin. All right, guys, if you like this sort of video, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give me a thumb up, leave a comment or question below. Thanks for watching, and go make it a great day.